Welcome to
Robert.
another welcome to another exciting edition of Cambridge Inside Out, the extended
Yes,
version. Right.
extended, right, by
That's right.
15 minutes. Well, close
Really?
to that.
Wow. Yeah. I'm Robert Winters, still Robert
And,
Winters. And
and,
today
and,
is and you and who are you?
Judy Nathans.
There we go. And today is July 21st.
I know. Who would have thought? Come on, July already? I mean,
Yeah. I guess we're still cruising along here in
yeah,
quarantine. Well,
yeah,
semi-quarantine. Things are better.
semi-quarantine. They're better, but only when you
Yeah.
think about it, really, then they're not. But it's okay. No, it is better. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
to be
Definitely
somewhat
better.
hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are things happening around in the civic world. There's
Oh,
certainly
of
things
course.
happening around in
Yep.
the business world, the property ownership
Oh,
world.
oh,
It's
wow.
not a boring season
Oh,
right
oh, the
now.
property. That's interesting. We should talk about that, the
We should
closings, because
definitely talk
that's
about
kind of
that a little
sad.
bit
Yeah.
here.
At least
Um,
Cambridge focused. Yeah.
yeah, actually, one thing maybe we should mention, other than the
Yeah.
fact that yesterday was the anniversary of the moon landing, Apollo 11. Always good to see replays of that.
Oh, it
With
was? I missed
Neil
that.
Armstrong. Yeah, I mean, it was in 1969, so it wasn't like a
Wait a minute.
big.
I thought we already did that. That was a while ago, no?
Well, the thing is, there was like the 50th anniversary last year, but every year,
Right.
something I always remember
Oh, I
because
mean, when they actually went, I
it
see what you're
was
saying.
it was
Okay.
so astonishing, and
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
one of the things I was noticing or noting last night when I was watching some of it on the television, that it was one of those great moments where like everybody in the world was captivated and everybody was on the same page and
Yeah,
everybody thought this was cool.
that's true.
And in a way,
Yeah.
it was kind of a nice antidote to see that during a time when there's a
Yes,
lot of
I
unrest in a
know.
lot of places. So,
Yeah.
I find that a little bit
You
gratifying.
know when I remember when the whole world was watching and it was positive? When Obama was inaugurated.
Yeah,
Well, not
absolutely true.
inaugurated, when he won that night, because they would
Yeah,
show
and
flashes of squares around the world.
around the world, it's really
And
true.
it was like I had tears in my eyes. I mean,
Yeah,
he
it
was
meant a
at
lot to a
millennial,
lot of
yeah,
people.
and then 8 years later, it's like,
Well,
what
it is what
happened?
it is, right?
Yeah, wow.
Now, one thing, and I think maybe what I'm just going to flip over here, do the old
Okay,
share
to
screen
speak, sure.
to speak a little bit to this here.
Yeah, we
Um,
have lots of visuals.
One of the things, and I hope this is reasonable to view here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so the thing is, one of the things coming up here, which some folks may know about, some may not, it's actually the centennial of the final passage of the 19th Amendment for women's suffrage.
Right.
Uh, and the actual dates are that the 19th Amendment was actually the final state that was necessary for ratification was August 18th, 1920.
Huh.
And it was, I think, about 7 days or 8 days later, August 26th, is when it was officially certified by the United States, the Secretary of State. So,
What year
so
again?
in 1920. And
Right.
I think so, really, from ratification, final ratification vote
Yeah,
to
yeah,
certification is a week. So everybody ought to make
yeah.
the whole week into a
That's
celebration.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you were talking, and I all that we both saw the vote that was on PBS. It was a two-parter, and
Yeah.
I learned things I didn't know.
It's
I
a great
mean,
program. But the
yes,
city's actually been planning to do a
that's right.
commemoration in the some form of
Right.
some kind of artwork that I
In
believe.
in the Cambridge Common,
Right.
in the last. Whoa, what was that?
I don't know.
Whatever. The
What's
last public meeting they had was late. It was in February. I remember the date, like 19th or something. And I went to that. It was at the senior center, and there were about 8 people presenting then. So now it's come
yeah.
down to these 4 proposals, but obviously they haven't been able to have any meetings since then. So yeah.
Exactly. So there are 4 finalists. I would
Yes.
urge people to go check them all out.
Yes.
Their
Yeah.
city
They
is
all. Yeah.
definitely,
Hmm.
the city put out yet another press release today asking more public input to get
Yeah,
people's
I
sense
put
about.
mine in. Yeah, because I think not enough people are aware of this because everything else going
I
on.
think
But
that's
yeah.
true. So,
Yeah, I have
people
my
should,
favorite, but hey, I
right?
don't have
Actually,
to.
I
I
think
won't
my
put.
favorite is the same as your favorite,
You
by
think
the
so?
way. Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
did
But,
I
I
mention
have
it?
to
All right,
say,
whatever. Yeah.
when I saw the 4 finalists,
Yeah.
I, honestly, I wanted something else, but of the
Uh huh.
4, I
Yeah.
definitely have a favorite, but,
Uh huh.
it would, anyway, I won't say too much more than that,
Right.
but I think people should be
Yes.
aware that it's
Yeah.
coming up, and
Yeah. August 3rd, they want feedback, and then I think there's another date for some kind of public whatever, but I'm sure once you give feedback, you're going to get the email anyway. So
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I'm going to just say, quickly, I'm going to do yet one more little screen share
Sure.
for it here, is that not to dwell too much on the
Oh, right, yeah.
pandemic, but it is worth noting that, I mean, I've
Mhm.
actually been rescaling this graph here so that it's a pretty narrow band vertically. So it looks steeper than most people would actually think of it is, because, basically it's just that it's expanded vertically to make it look a little bit. But I think I would just, as a math
That's how
geeky,
many people are tested? Is that what?
this is how many have tested positive now.
Tested positive.
Yeah. So the
But
thing is,
more people. Okay. All right.
so we hit 1150 today, which honestly, in a city of 100,000 plus, depending on whether you count the students, many of whom are not here.
Yeah, but that's assuming everyone's getting a test, Robert.
Right. And the thing is that, and good news is that there's been a pretty solid recovery rate, and they've been keeping good track of that. One of the things that
but wait a minute. You have another graph. I want to know how many people have been tested and not just the positive. Is that below this?
I don't know how many have been tested, but I do know that
I saw that.
there's 1150 tested positive, but I believe
Right.
our positivity rate is actually quite low.
All right, so that might be what, 2%, 1%?
I think we're under 1%. Yeah.
Okay,
so we're doing pretty well.
I see what you're saying. So maybe 10. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, the one graph that I put together the other day was just a sense of how has it been changing over time. I just did a little graph today of a 7-day running average.
Oh,
so what you can see
is looking at before.
In
the
mid-April,
that's
when somewhat, because there was a lot of testing was starting up then, and you were getting a lot of the people who were positive.
So they predicted that would be the surge up.
That's exactly when the surge was.
Yeah, right.
But the thing is, you definitely see sort of a rise and a fall. There are a few little bumps here and there, some of which may be related to some increased testing, but it's not like it's going away. I mean, the thing is, it's pretty much petering out to kind of averaging out to like a
but we're still getting cases.
Per day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is this is not going away anytime soon.
No, but it's not bad. We do want it, I think, like around 1% though, or something, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that every day brings good word about potential vaccine candidates, and just as importantly, a lot of good words about better therapies.
Treatment
right now,
once you have it.
And treatments, exactly. So the thing is that the severity or fatality rates actually can be somewhat contained.
Right.
I mean, this is a long haul, but the thing is that, and we're certainly a part of it. We're not like Arizona and Texas. We're actually doing most of the right things.
You walk around. I mean, I walk around a lot, and most people are wearing masks. They really are. Very rare do I not see someone with a mask.
No, I think people have been pretty good about it.
Yeah.
We don't have too many. It's like Dr. Fauci talked about. Well, even if we get a vaccine, America has a very thriving anti-vax movement too.
Well, you go to other communities, you hear about this. Other states, even like 10 miles out of Cambridge, people are not. They don't want to do it, and I'm glad.
Right.
We do live in this little bubble,
Most of the people here are pretty okay with wearing masks, but there are definitely places where people are refusing that.
And we're talking all ages, all colors, all sizes.
Yeah, people are making out of some kind of a civil rights matter, which I think is maybe a little misguided.
Well, this is why America is failing in that respect. Is because the individual is more important than the community. That's really what it comes down to. So many people.
Like France, I mean, liberté, right? Liberty is a big piece of what this country is founded on. There's no question about it. But the thing is, liberty does not
come without any restrictions, right?
Like you say that I believe in liberty. How dare you? Say, so you don't believe in stop signs?
Yeah, right.
Because they're telling you you can't just race through an intersection. No. Liberty doesn't mean no restriction. It means sensible restrictions and the freedom to pursue happiness.
Right.
That's really what the founders, how they would have put it back then.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And there are a few other things that I think are kind of.
Wait, speaking of Dr. Fauci, he's throwing out the baseball tomorrow night. You know that?
For the Washington.
Yeah, the Nationals game.
Yeah.
They invited
It's
him.
funny.
That
I
must
was
be
about to say
killing
that.
Trump,
I was about to say that you mean for the Washington Senators? I said, no, they're long gone.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So,
can you imagine what a snub that is for the president of the United States?
honestly, discretion is the better part of
I
valor.
know. I'm
If
so happy they did that. Yeah.
but listen, even if they didn't, what do you think the reaction would be
Oh,
if this president were to throw out the ball
oh.
at a baseball game?
I
He'd
he's
better
not
be
involved.
behind a shield,
Well,
honestly.
he never would. I mean, the fact that he wasn't even considered, who knows if he was considered.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyway, Dr.
yeah,
Fauci is definitely
yeah,
viewed as one of, in a
yeah,
time where we don't have too many authority figures who we
yes,
respect, it's
right.
kind of nice to have at least
I
one.
think he has a bobblehead now.
Really? Oh
Yeah, I
boy, well,
think
he's
so.
made
Yeah,
it. He's
yeah.
definitely made it. All right.
All right.
Now there's a
So,
lot of other things going on around town.
well, right. Okay.
One of the things I thought maybe we should set a touch on, and I'm going to sort of
Yeah.
dodge over to take a look at this, is
Oh,
that
the
kind of
visuals are great. Yeah.
there's an interesting initiative from the Central Square Business Improvement District,
Yeah.
which is based on an idea of Peter Valentine, our dear friend Peter Valentine,
Yeah.
called Starlight Square.
Yeah.
And basically what it is, I mean, this is what just a simple sketch of what people are thinking about doing, but it's going to be a performance venue. You'll see performances from people from the Dance Complex, from the Central Square Theater, and from others. I assume that a lot of musical performers from all over the place.
Oh, Improv Boston's part of it. I read that.
They gotta be. And this is, people are dying to have something like this. So this is going to be a good thing. I mean, but it is worth noting that Starlight Square today is just parking lot 5.
Yeah.
Okay. And I took this photo a few days ago, and it was just nothing happened. Still a parking lot. I walked by a few hours ago, and all the cars are cleared out now.
Yeah. So you can't park there.
You can't park there. They'll still be able to do the farmers market.
Yes, that'll happen on Mondays.
When that happens.
Only Mondays. Yeah.
But except for that, they're actually, I don't know exactly where they're going to be setting up the staging.
Right.
But,
you figured from what they're doing there, it might face
I'd probably face outward from Bishop Allen. Yeah. But we'll see. So we took a little walk there. I did run into one of our favorite friends from the Central Square Business Improvement District.
Yeah, we have to get him on the Zoom one of these days.
Oh, I talked to him about it today. He's
good.
Hungry to do it.
Easy enough. Another face on the screen, right? Yeah.
Yep. And we actually went up to the top of his hotel that he's building at 907 Main.
And
we went up to the rooftop bar. This is one day when the rooftop bar, of course, it's tough to imagine bars opening, but this is an open air venue. So maybe that'll be fine. There's a kitchen right outside the bar area and right up on the roof. And this is one of the views you get from up on the roof, looking right over Lafayette.
So let me ask you, Robert, as we're looking down, when is this, the whole sewer thing going to be done? That underground thing? I see that remnants of it down here, right?
They jacked the pipes under the subway, so that's all complete. It's just now making all the connections into the main sewers, and they're making great progress now. They're actually closing up the street along Mass Ave now. There's going to be
with less cars, too.
kind of a separated cycle track that'll be sort of at sidewalk level coming right through.
Oh, really?
Well,
which side? The side that's
on the Mass and Main side, this side.
Okay.
Not on the firehouse side, but on this other side. Okay. I mean, I'm actually going to have something on the other side as well, but as part of the Mass and Main project, this was definitely a piece of it. So we did a little walk there.
Nice.
While we're at it, we're sort of doing a virtual walk around Central Square here. It is perhaps worth noting, and I didn't take pictures of everything, that there has been a rapid fire series of rumors and maybe more than just rumors of the actual or potential closing of some long-term friends of Central Square. The first one we heard made official was that the Field on Prospect Street, Jerry Coleman has basically said we're out of respect for our patrons, we don't want to endanger anybody, so we're gonna call it quits. Many of us remember the Field when it was the Prospect Buffet. And then they
Why do you say buffet, not buffet?
It was always called the Buffet, and I ain't changing it. In fact, even now, on the license for the Field, it says the Field.
Really?
It says the Prospect Buffett doing business as the field. Yeah.
Uh,
And they tried to rebrand, trying to get a little more upscale as Melvin's, but that didn't really last,
uh-huh.
didn't work. And then
Yeah.
they went into more of an Irish bar theme because I think the
Right.
Druid had opened in Inman Square, and then that
Mm.
worked. I mean, it worked fabulously well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was been great. But now, just a few days ago, I mean, I get contacted by people who are like food writers and others, and
Yeah.
did you
Oh,
hear the rumor
Mark
about this and
Hurwitz.
that?
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the first one we were hearing about was about the Cantab Lounge, and apparently those
Yeah.
rumors seem to be more than rumors. The
Okay.
only
So what's
question
with that? Because I thought it was a
is,
rumor. Yeah.
honestly, it's not been verified by the owners absolutely yet. But the thing is
Okay.
that it's starting to look not so good for the Cantab,
Hmm.
and the thing is, the only question, at least the way I'm interpreting this right now, is that will it be the business being sold or the property being sold?
Well,
Right?
you know a lot about the property over there. Is it one big stretch of
Yeah,
one owner, or
there are about 4 different storefronts that are it's all one owner who
there's
lives in
like a
Canton.
chicken, there's like a takeout chicken place. There's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So there's
So you
there's a
don't,
strip
yeah,
of them there. Now
right.
the property could be sold or the business could just turn over.
Hmm.
But the thing is right now it is tough going for bars.
Oh, restaurants,
Uh,
bars in particular, right. If you
and
can't
they will
serve at a bar, then forget,
yeah, we can
yeah,
talk about phase 2, phase
right,
3, phase
right.
whatever, but the truth,
It's not
everybody
going to
seems to
work.
understand that most
Yeah,
bars, unless you have
yeah.
like those big open air windows or big patios,
Well, the
they're
tavern on the square, whatever it's called now, it does have that. So I'm thinking
right.
that
So
they can do
they
that. Yeah.
they have the open windows. They have enough space in there that they can socially distance,
Plus, if you're fenced around outside, you can serve alcohol, I
and they
think,
do
right?
definitely
Yeah,
have the outdoor
right. And they've
space
always had
in
that,
Central
right?
Square. They got
Yeah,
that from ever
right.
since they opened up
Yeah,
there when we
right,
widened the sidewalks back in the mid
right.
'90s.
Very
Yeah.
smart.
So the Cantab
Okay.
seems to be gone, but again,
Yeah.
nothing's
Set.
official
Right.
about that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the thing is the property where the Middle East is, and that's Middle
Yeah.
East, Sonia, Zuzu, and both
Right.
fronts of the Middle East,
Right.
and downstairs in the Middle East as well. I mean, that
Right.
property was actually marketed a while ago.
Right.
They were asking a lot of money, and
And
I
then
don't
COVID hit. Maybe
I
that
don't know if they
made a
got any
difference.
takers.
Yeah.
Now in the age of COVID, since the
Right.
businesses really can't operate very much,
Right.
the who knows? Are there some speculators out there who are
Right.
saying, "Oh boy, I can pick up some bargains now"?
Right.
What's going to
Right.
happen? And then the same question arises, which is, well, is it the business that gets sold?
Right.
Probably not. It would probably be the property. And then
Right.
if the property turns over, what would happen there? I mean, the likelihood of having one-story buildings remaining in Central Square
Yeah.
uh, in this day and age is virtually zero.
But
So
but 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 he owned. I mean, the family owns that block. So I
not
mean, no.
yeah, not that many years ago, the Sater family actually purchased the property.
Right.
Where they had
So
an
I mean,
option to do
it's not
so.
like they're paying rent to somebody. I mean, yes, their business is
But they're
affected.
carrying. But
Well,
the
the
thing is,
mortgage. It's true.
they're paying us a pretty steep mortgage. So the thing is that
Okay. All
they
right.
they could sell the property and clear their mortgage and even make a little money. But
Yeah.
this question is you've got a big family and families got to make
Yeah.
decisions. Who wants to be
Yeah.
compensated in what way? So,
Are
and
they
again, I'm
doing
not.
any business now? I mean, they.
I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But the thing
Yeah.
is that everybody's sort of stringing along at marginal business.
Right.
How anybody's going to be surviving through this without
So,
incredibly generous
so
landlords, it's hard to
you're
say.
right. So it could be that it got sold, but not be to
Well,
a restaurant, or it could
it,
be housing.
it
I
could be,
mean,
but
maybe. Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually on the Central Square Advisory Committee,
Right.
and
So you would know.
well, no, we wouldn't necessarily learn from
Oh,
that, but I actually asked, put the word out to them today.
yeah.
I said we should have a meeting at some point in the not too
Yeah.
distant future to not talk about whether this recreational marijuana
Right.
place should get licensed or whether
Right.
this
Right. Right.
property should be entitled to this
Right.
relaxation of the setback requirements, the usual stuff. But
Yeah.
we need to have a much more serious conversation. So
Hmm.
does the planning board, so does the
Yeah.
community development department
Yeah.
about the future of Central Square in the age of COVID. Because right
Hmm.
now, whether we like it or not, some of these
Hmm.
businesses are not coming back.
Right.
We already know that. And some
Right.
of these properties are going to turn over.
Yeah.
And now that's it. You can look at that as an opportunity, or you can look at that as just a tragic circumstance. But the thing is that people better start thinking about where
Yep.
we go from here,
Yeah.
and don't just sort of wait to react, right?
Well, that's interesting you say that. I don't know if you watched any of the housing committee meeting today,
Not
but
today, no.
and this also came up, I think, the other day. But anyway, Dennis Carlone was talking about having, I mean, I'm going to paraphrase, some kind of a better plan on building and what we're doing. And he didn't refer specifically to Central Square, but it sort of goes along with what you're saying.
He definitely talked about that
Yeah,
as part of the I did attend. I actually even gave
yeah.
public comment on the Government Operations Committee meeting, which I guess it
Oh,
was
that's
yesterday.
right. And I watched
Right,
that. You're right. So it did come up
right,
in that. That's right.
right.
You're
And that's
right.
another
Yeah, yeah.
important topic already is the
Right, exactly. The city manager, right.
the
But
city
you're right.
manager's
That's,
contract, but
yeah.
even though the meeting yesterday, not to
Mhm.
sort of dodge off into too many different directions
Well,
here, but
it's all about the city. Yeah.
the Government Operations Committee meeting was, again, they had a lot of disruption because of COVID. But the
Right,
thing is, they have to make some decisions and have to
right,
give the signal to Louis DePasquale about a contract extension by no later than September 14th. That's what's in the
right.
contract.
He was
Contract
requesting
I
at
think,
least a
well,
1 year,
it was
right? Yeah.
ambiguous.
And
And
yeah,
honestly,
right.
listening to the council rhetoric, which is something I'm getting pretty sick of right
Yeah.
now,
Okay.
because it's
Yeah.
all about me all the time. Every
Well,
counselor is making their own little sing song about me, me, me. The thing is that the question is that, do you have a good manager here? What do you want here? And but then it turned into all these other conversations about,
yeah.
you know, things unrelated to the simple contract extension. But
Hmm.
Dennis Carlone, you're absolutely right, did
Yeah.
bring up not only the fact that he apparently
Yeah.
wants to dramatically increase property taxes, because he says we're only taxing 67%,
Well,
Brookline and Boston are doing
he's
99%.
well
Why aren't we
also
doing that?
like condo owners. He's talked about that before.
You
They
got to
were
change
under,
state
right.
law.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
You know what?
really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. We've talked
right
about that.
now everybody
Right.
gets a residential property tax exemption, and the
Right.
thing makes condo owners have the sweetest deal in town. So
Right.
if you can get the state to change that, then you can
Hmm.
maybe shift that to a, but the thing is, there's a lot of condo owners are now the chief property owners around the city. So
Really?
that will not go
Mm.
over very well politically if you say we're going to basically try and raise the taxes on the backs of the condo owners, even though they are underpaying arguably now.
Well, yeah. But yeah.
But
Right.
anyway, the thing is that we do have commercial property tax, which has been footing the bill for 2/3 of the property tax.
Right.
Maybe would still foot a lot of it, but
Yeah, but
apparently,
that's changing, I bet.
well, there's some
No?
counselors, Dennis
Yeah.
Carlone very much in particular, who seems
Yeah.
to somehow believe that the city should be squeezing a lot more revenue out of the residents and businesses of the city in order to take on more and more and more and more bigger and bigger projects and stuff. I don't know
Hmm.
if I agree, and I don't know that that's definitely the
I don't know about
philosophy.
businesses. We already take a lot out of the
I think
commercial. Right.
honestly, Tim Toomey was speaking very directly to that at yesterday's
Yeah.
Government Operations Committee meeting,
Yeah.
in that people have not really taken into account what the sum effect of the pandemic is going to be on
Yeah.
property tax valuation on the commercial
Oh,
side.
yeah. We're not going to
There are
get
going to be a
much.
lot of
Yeah. That's right.
abatements,
Hmm.
and there's going to be a lot of legal rationale for doing so. And you're going to see some shifts, and nobody's talking
Yeah.
about it yet, but I
I
can
know.
pretty much guarantee you, because the math is the
Yeah.
math here,
Yeah.
that this is
And you
not going
know
to,
your math, right?
well, to some degree. But
Yeah.
but the thing
Yeah.
is we
Yeah.
are not going to just sort of breeze
I
through the
know.
next property tax valuation season without
Yeah.
some pretty noticeable changes.
Yeah.
And people better just get wise to that, because that's going to happen. And maybe for the first time in a generation, these city councils are going to have to make hard decisions, you
Mm.
know, but we'll see about that. So, but anyway, in the meantime, we've got Starlight Square,
Yeah.
and so we're going to try and make the most of it.
They're going to hope to have that started in what, August? A couple weeks,
Uh,
maybe? A makeshift.
they actually cleared it today, and
Okay.
they'll probably be. I don't know exactly how much time is going to be involved, but putting up just basic staging
Yeah,
and
that's
getting
not going to take
something
long. Yeah.
operational, that can be
Right.
done pretty quickly. And
Right.
being done really by the Central Square Business Improvement District. It's not like you have to put it out under Chapter 30B Municipal
No,
Procurement
it's
Act.
like when you have a festival, when you put up a, for a music.
Hey, listen, if they need some
yeah.
volunteers to help slam a few boards together, I'll help,
Well, 6 feet apart. I don't know.
I got it. Well, so we just need some, we can do it. We can do it. I've done it before when the Cambridge River Festival was in its heyday. A lot of us, pre-pandemic. But the thing is that I was assembling or helping to assemble platforms for dance performances.
Right, but that's when they had like 6 stages and everything.
Yeah, but the thing is, I was working on my own I wasn't anybody or anybody.
Right.
I just had drills and hammers.
I don't know if they're going to give you a drill and a hammer, Robert, but they'll hear you. That's good.
Don't worry, you can trust me. Believe me.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. So should we talk about the? No, let's see. I'm trying to think now.
Well, actually, one thing I am going to say, this is sort of on the editorial comment side of things.
Okay.
Having given testimony about the city manager's.
Oh, I heard you. That's right. I
got to tell you
that, but you didn't answer the phone.
In the days leading up to this, there were all these listserv messages going out about.
Get on the Zoom.
Reason
I
you
know.
gotta.
I was so angry at some of these callers who.
I mean, seriously, look, you and I are all into recycling and reusing and whatever, but to actually have to read in all seriousness, people arguing why the manager's contract shouldn't be renewed because he wasn't paying attention to the council when they said that we should be allowed to use reusable bags. And I said, that's what this comes down to. The manager.
You're also the shared streets, like how horrible that was. It's the same person who was one of the last speakers.
So we didn't. So
I couldn't believe it. I mean, how many pictures do I have to post of me walking 60 miles a month?
It's incredible.
Not having any problems,
Right.
I mean, it's
so we have a city manager who's navigating pretty competently, I have to say, the biggest crisis the city has seen in many, many years.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to worry because he was a little slow in opening up Garden Street, or because I still can't use a reusable bag. I mean, give me a break.
I know.
That was more than I could take.
Well, I know. Some of these people were literally born yesterday, but anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
I'm not discounting passions and all, but it just bothers me when there's people that come into the conversation because social media has given so many people this, I have something to say and I don't care, and I want you to hear it. And I'm talking about there's some of the older people that you hear from every week. I'm sick of that. But also, I looked through all the communications. There were 30 communications and about 10 of those people also spoke. Do you have to do both?
No.
Really? No.
No, I chose one. Let the record show I chose one.
I just feel brevity is really...
It's really what it should be about. But one of the things, and this was something that also happened a month or so ago in some of the council hilarity there, was is sort of the let's put out the word and drive 100 people to go to a public meeting.
I know.
Basically to
repeat it was the bike committee listserv. I mean, I did a lot of research into all that.
So whether it's the bike safety committee people who basically say, quick, 500 people run over there to overwhelm everybody, or else if it was the shared street crowds or the whatever crowds. Some of these, there's a lot of overlap in some of these ones.
Well, and then it was some fit into a national one.
It makes me ask the question, well, what is democracy? If it's the voice of the people, what does that mean? Because is it the
voice of the people?
Is it the loudest and the most social media organized one? Is that the voice of the people? Is that Vox Populi?
Did you hear yesterday it was Hector Acevedo.
He was wonderful. Hector's he's a sweetheart
anyway. He spoke to that.
Yes. No, he honestly, Hector is one of the smartest guys in the city. And the most eloquent and the nicest person you'll ever want to meet too. He was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So a few other things that are happening around town. I'm going to say one thing on the quick.
And then we should go to some photos before.
And we're going to go to the photos. Absolutely. We're going to switch over to the photos in a minute here, right?
All right.
So the thing is that one of the properties that has been sort of in the news locally for a long, long time is the W.R. Grace properties out near Alewife area.
Is that
Now,
Gary's or Jerry's Pond? I always forget.
that's
Is it
Jerry's Pond, right? With a J, yeah, as
All
opposed to
right.
Gary of Gerrymander, right?
Okay.
So, Grace Construction Project, they
Yeah.
actually sold the whole site, including Jerry's Pond, to another company called IQHQ for $125 million.
Wait, when was this?
That was about a week or two ago,
You're
and the
kidding.
thing,
Wow.
yeah, and basically is saying like you should expect office and lab development to pick up around there. It's going to be tricky because
Wait, is
there are
this the
these
quadrangle or the triangle?
neither.
Or
This
the
is
other side?
Russell.
It's the other side.
It's
Oh,
there next
wow.
to Russell
Yeah, yeah,
Field.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Okay,
yeah.
right.
So
All right. Whoa, whoa,
so
whoa, whoa.
basically, right where the head house, the east head house of the LYFT station, which is like the entry to
Right.
nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
you know.
By the
Um,
pool? There's a pool over
Yeah,
there.
but now there's a
Okay.
very polluted site on the north side of that. There's
Right.
Jerry's Pond to the
Right.
south, which is less
Right.
polluted, but it's problematic.
Right.
And it's going to be a challenge to do the redevelopment. But there's
Wow.
also the properties up by Whittemore Avenue,
So what does that
at
mean?
the
This is a
north
long
end.
process. It has to go through the planning board. It's going to have
Oh,
public comment. It's
it's
going to
going to be
do
a
all that,
long
right?
haul. It's going to be a long
All
haul.
right.
But the thing is that it's been a long-standing problem. And
But
one of
you
the
can't,
things
you couldn't really have housing, right? If it's that's some
you would have to do a
environmental
lot of
stuff.
cleanup, and depends
All
on
right.
where you would put the housing. So the
What
thing
about a
is
lab? Does a lab require that kind of?
not in the same sort of
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
So that's
But
probably
but it,
why.
but
Mm.
there will be. You'll start once we hopefully get through the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Right.
This will become something to keep on the radar,
Wow.
to be
Okay.
sure.
Mm.
Now, in the meantime,
Yeah.
our roving reporter Judith Nathans has
Self-photography.
been making her way around, and as have I.
Yes. You
Uh,
a lot.
and
Yeah.
I think maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to just to show
Yeah.
a few pictures of what's
Yeah.
happening
Let's do.
around town.
Yeah. But I want to
All
get
right.
to those really beautiful ones.
Yeah. So one
Okay.
thing here, just to say
Yeah.
kind of quick
This
here,
is
is that
Inman Square.
Inman
Yeah.
Square, there was the
Hmm.
plan to create dining areas, which they
Right.
did, and
Right.
they also made it a one-way street from East
Right.
Cambridge heading west, and
Right.
the only bicycles can go the other way. So now you have to
Yeah.
kind of go around the merry-go-round to
Are there
get
that many
there now.
restaurants? I mean, there's S&S. There's how many restaurants
S&S is on
around?
one side, and I
Right.
guess
Yeah.
they'll have their outdoor seating there.
Oh,
But
further
there's
down
also
there's some.
there's the
Yeah.
Druid. There are a few. Yeah, there are a
That's true.
few.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to run through some of it.
Yeah.
This is in the middle of the day. In the middle, by the way, is traffic director Joe Barr.
Oh, there.
He was in gym. He's the one who basically did that. I happened to spy
Yeah.
him
Oh, that's
sitting
funny.
there
Yeah.
enjoying the outdoor dining.
That's funny. Yeah.
Right. Uh, Meanwhile, this is also on the other side, just a different view, actually in front
Hmm.
of where the Druid is.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to kind of whisk through a few of
Yeah.
these
Go
ones
ahead.
right
Yeah.
here. Meanwhile, over in Central Square, I may have shown this picture here a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
when they were laying it all out for the outdoor
Right.
area, but there
Right.
was nothing happening. It actually went at least another week with nothing really
Right.
happening. It was just sort of
Yeah.
sitting there waiting,
Yeah.
and then I came by one
Yeah.
day,
There we go.
and they
Yeah.
had actually put in some chairs, and here
Nice.
is Kirsten, and this is
Yeah.
Morris Nagar,
Okay.
one of our major property owners and
Yeah.
business owners around Central Square.
Okay.
And Peter Valentine was there, Dennis Benzan, a lot of other people who I know.
Yeah.
It was really, it was kind of like a party of a lot of the Central
Yeah.
Square characters.
Okay.
Meanwhile, right next to me, and actually even in front of my house, is one of these outdoor dining areas.
Oh, right. That is right next
Right
to
here,
you. That's
right.
Bellissimo.
This is my
Yeah.
next door neighbor, and now there are
Sure.
actually tables in front of my house.
Okay. Oh, you can
And
just
that's
go
fine.
have your free coffee. You bring your own coffee.
I could just, hey, come up to my porch. I'll pour you a
Yeah.
cup, right?
Right. Okay.
So it's not just the major squares. I mean, and
Right.
this is actually
That's
happening in
nice.
other places as
Yeah.
well.
It's yeah. Oh,
I love
yeah.
this. This is a nice
Isn't that
mural
nice?
mural
We're
on
just
the
walking around on Cherry Street. This is Margaret Fuller
Margaret
House.
Fuller
Yeah.
House, and a really,
Yeah.
really nice
That's
theme, a good
beautiful.
message being sent.
Yeah.
Down
This
in
is,
Magazine, in the
Right.
supposedly super overcrowded city,
Yeah, I know.
we have these wonderful, peaceful, not
Yeah, the
overly
Powder House.
populated
Yeah.
places at Powder House.
Right. And look at
Meanwhile,
this. This was that hot. Well, when was it? Sunday?
this
I don't know what it was, but look at this. There's
the
so many
Stata
places you
Center.
can walk
The
around
people,
and just come to
yeah.
open spaces.
MIT is not a restricted campus. If people
Oh
want
God,
to actually
no.
just sit out
No.
in the grass, look at this. There's
Yeah.
not a soul. You
No.
know. And by the way,
Oh,
this
okay.
I've been wanting to make this parallel for years.
Oh, good. I'm so
so
glad.
So
But it's different though.
well, you took a photo of the
Yeah.
MIT's nuclear
So
reactor,
that
which
is the
is,
nuclear reactor. I
yes, it
wasn't
is.
sure.
Now, I don't
Okay.
think the smokestack is related to the reactor,
No,
but
but I
it's like
love it.
next
I
door.
just think it's
But I have
so
to
good.
say, for
Yeah.
ever since I've been looking
Yeah.
at that, there's
Yeah.
one image always came to mind whenever I would
Uh-huh.
see the reactor and that
Yeah.
smokestack, which is the 1939-1940 World's Fair in Flushing Meadow Park in New York.
Oh, so this is the World's Fair. Okay, I was wondering
And
where
it's the
this was.
Trilon and the Perisphere
Oh my, so
is the
that is
name of
that
that.
connected, this thing over
No,
here?
not at all. But the thing is that,
Oh,
I have to just say that whenever I would see the juxtaposition of the
yeah.
reactor and the stack, I always thought of the
It's
Trilon and
so
the
nice I
Perisphere.
gave that to you.
See?
See that?
Yeah. And by
Wow.
the way, this is the day it was first
Oh
unveiled
my,
in
I love this
1939.
woman. I love
Yeah.
her outfit and everything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you,
Absolutely.
so you have this because not because you were there, obviously. You weren't born.
No, 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 no. When I was a kid, the
Yeah.
Trilon and Perisphere were long gone. There used to be just something called the Space Needle. And then
But wasn't there an expo at, I
at
seem to remember going to,
1964-65
yeah,
World's Fair is
I
when
was
and
there,
what
I think.
remains from that
Yeah,
is the New York State Pavilion and the Unisphere.
right. And the
And the
Mets,
Unisphere became the kind of the central
but also the
figure.
Mets first, wasn't the Mets first
Uh,
stadium around there?
Shea Stadium
Shea
was
Stadium.
pretty much right
Yeah,
across the street.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So you could go get off at Shea Stadium and you go to the Singer Bowl, which is
Yeah.
a tennis stadium, and then wander right over to the World's Fair. So yeah. So,
Okay.
there were satellite World's Fair parking lots close to even where I lived.
Wow.
Growing up there. But anyway, so I just love the juxtaposition
You have
of the
something underneath here, though.
reactor.
Wait, keep going up. I thought you had another thing.
Well, these are just some of the
Oh,
pictures we
these are
had from
just
before.
right of the open
Again,
space.
yeah,
Yeah.
just basically,
Yeah, I
for
know.
all those who are
I
making this
know. I
fallacious
can't walk
claim that
anywhere. I know.
is, everything is so crowded, whatever. I'm sorry, it ain't
Just walk a
true.
mile and you'll find places that are
Go
really
anywhere you
open.
like, and you'll
Go to the
find
Harvard Business
tons of
School.
places.
Go to Kendall. I've discovered
Yeah.
things. There's a whole courtyard behind that Swiss cheese looking building. I mean, I shouldn't say that Maya Lin did it. The one right on the corner of
Oh, the Novartis headquarters. Yeah, there's a
no,
great
it's not
courtyard.
Novartis. Is that Novartis?
It is Novartis. They're on
No,
both sides of the street.
Osborne Triangle, it's called.
Right. So you go over to Osborne Triangle,
But
which
you
is on the
wander
other
up there.
side
I
of it.
never knew that. You wander up there. There's all these tables, and it's open. You can sit
Yep.
there, and it's
That
amazing.
when I was working at MIT,
Yeah.
that was how I always
You
walked
go
home right
to
through there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just-
No, that
yeah.
was my path right through there. So
Oh
anyway,
my
so that was
gosh.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
By the way,
See that?
since you did mention open space and whatever,
Yeah.
the shared streets, Garden
Yeah.
Street, Magazine Street, Harvard Street,
Magazines.
it's
It's loaded with sawhorses. But that's fine.
loaded with sawhorses, and then people would say, "Well, it's not good, not enough." So now they're putting little further signs in the middle that's saying 10 mile per hour speed
Oh, I thought they were on
limits.
the side. The 10.
Well, they are, but then they're putting some additional
Oh,
ones.
okay.
But and listen, I have to say, I kind of like them
I
because it's
think
sort of
all cars should go slow. Maybe 10's a
But
little
that's
slow, but
really
on
the
the
point
shared,
I
yeah.
would make is that to me,
Exactly. You don't need
in
to go
my
right.
in my silly worldview,
Yeah.
is every road is already a shared street. It's just that
That's
some
right.
streets are not very well shared,
And they
because
shouldn't be
they're
20. It should be
arterial.
20 miles per hour. Really.
I think 10 is a little ridiculous, to be
And
honest.
yeah.
But
Well,
but
if it
my
says shared street, yeah, maybe. But
my feeling about it
well,
is that as soon as there's a pedestrian in a street, you slow down
right.
whatever it takes to make sure everybody's safe. And the
Yeah.
same thing, you navigate around cyclists and you do all of
Yeah.
this. I mean, some people don't seem to understand the concept of share.
I
They
know.
want to say, like, this is my street. I've actually heard some horror stories of people on, I don't know whether it was Harvard Street or maybe it was Garden Street or maybe it was one of these other
I
streets
think it was Garden.
where somebody was just walking down the street and a car was behind them and they just wanted to get around, and and then the person just sort of snarled at them as if to say, "Who do you think you are with your big
Right.
steel cage?" And I think,
I know.
come on,
Come on.
this is
get
supposed
out
to
of
be about
Yeah.
sharing, and that
Yeah.
that means something. It
Sharing
doesn't.
is caring, isn't it?
Yes, I don't want to sound all silly about it, but
I
the
know.
thing is
Yeah.
that this is about getting along, people
Yeah.
getting along, and I like the experiment. Let me
Yeah.
be really clear. I like the
Yeah.
experiment.
Good.
I hope some of it persists
Yeah.
even beyond the pandemic. But the thing is that I also know that there's a political agenda going on here too.
Yeah.
of, we got to eradicate cars from the planet because they're
I
evil,
know.
whatever.
I know. I know.
And I think people have to separate out some of these issues. Right now
Everything in moderation. You're not going to get rid of them right away. And
there's a
you just,
petition.
yeah.
I think there's
What?
a petition going around right now
In Cambridge?
for, yeah, really a petition in Cambridge, unheard of, right?
What?
Arguing why they should be closing down lanes of Memorial Drive.
Oh, please. Is that still going around? Oh,
Well,
come on.
that's the thing I like to point out to people, is that it was several years ago, long before anybody heard of
Yeah.
coronavirus.
Yeah.
There were some people who were saying we should be closing down a lane on each side of Memorial Drive to turn it into a 2-lane road, and and we should petition DCR.
What the traffic? Try going around the BU Bridge during rush hour and have it be.
Well, I mean, look, there's some hours of the day and maybe it work fine, but the thing is that if you crunch it down too much, people are just going to start using all the other streets as well. But now, could it work? I don't know. But the thing is that I think it needs to be pointed out that the same people who were arguing for this before we ever heard of coronavirus are the ones who are pushing the petition today. So is this about really social distancing, or is this about an opportunity? I think it's as much about just capitalizing on opportunity.
I'm more concerned about people losing their homes, losing their livelihoods, losing their businesses, not having health care. I mean, let's get real. I mean, let's
right. I think
really
that's exactly right.
And if somebody needs to use a car because they can't get to work and they have to use, so be it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we're sort of winding down. I think we're in our last few minutes here, but the thing is let me just say that, all right, City Council is going to meet next week. Right. I don't think they're going to decide. Maybe they'll move forward on the manager's contracting, but typically there's usually a lot of stuff.
So that's Monday, July 27th.
27th, right. And then they won't come back for their next meeting. Will be until September 14th.
Yeah, why so? Maybe because of holidays or something?
Well, it's always, they may have another special meeting they'll squeeze in there. It's very possible. So I wouldn't, I haven't seen anything yet.
Oh, quickly, I noticed they had an ordinance meeting that was not videotaped. It was not recorded.
Oh, really?
But they did have it last week on the affordable housing over. There's another one.
Oh, they didn't record that one?
No, I don't see any video.
They had a second one they were going to have that got canceled. And
second one this week is canceled?
There was a second one that was canceled because they're going to have one mid to late August.
Well, they need to update their calendar then. It doesn't look right, whatever.
What? In Cambridge? We're not technologically savvy? Honestly, there's so many shortcomings on cities' calendar operations, et cetera. One thing I would say here, just the last couple of minutes, that to me, one position I absolutely wish I would not want to be in right now would be to be a member of the Cambridge School Committee.
Oh, God.
Cambridge School Committee is having to navigate between, and this is happening all across the country.
Right.
Do you open schools? Do you do a hybrid model? Do you do everything?
How old the younger kids are harder to control? Yeah, all that.
How do you deal with the problem of the kids who are
teachers
checking
that
out?
A lot of them don't live in Cambridge, and maybe they're in communities where there are no schools. What do they do with their kids?
And there are vulnerable teachers. Teachers
right.
they're not all 25 years old and whatever. So. And staff and whatever.
Yeah,
this is a hard decision. And, the biggest fear, I think it must be running through some of their minds would be that, well, what if we say go ahead and then somebody captures the virus and there's a fatality?
Well, hopefully they can do testing and tracing and all that stuff.
There is ways of doing that, and life is not risk-free anywhere.
That's
true.
Okay.
So this is, this is just.
I hope they come up with something. The kids do need. I mean,
they're going to need something, but I say I do not envy the position of a school committee member at this point.
Or our dear mayor, who's the chair.
And the mayor and the school superintendent and everybody else. So anyway, we should probably wind it down here.
We're the last of the night, but
that's right. Yeah.
I'm sure
so
Seth wants to get a rest. So.
There we go. Okay. So anyway, we'll be back again one of these days soon. 2 weeks. Or maybe sooner. Until then, we'll see you on Cambridge Inside Out.
Bye-bye.